They hail from around the globe, and though separated by oceans, they gather in the virtual world for reasons as varied as their locales. Whether it's a defending champion looking to retain his title, a new and eager hopeful striving for recognition, or a legend prepared to recapture past glory, in the end, the one goal they all share is to win. But when naming a victor, only one driver's name can be etched into the record books. You're watching the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour.
Dragons and nudity. Other than those two items, Game of Thrones has nothing on the MWT. Rule makers, rule breakers, victories taken away, victories reinstated. Passionate opinions and the calming voices of reason. Call it dirty laundry, call it the price of doing business in the ultra-competitive world of sim racing. Bottle up all that flammable between race drama and uncork it at a very narrow, very tricky racetrack, and this virtual universe is a single spark away from exploding. Cue the cellos. It's time for the Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour Round 9 from Brands Hatch. And as the action shifts from the forum to the pavement, you can witness all the on-track intrigue live as it happens right here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Hello and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. With Johan Vanderveld on assignment, Stefan Schlacker joins yours truly, Bill Soupzon, to bring you our bird's eye view. Sean Ambrose has director duties, armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. This and 2 races left. Winter is coming. And if it is true that chaos is not a pit, chaos is a ladder, then today's venue should offer plenty of opportunities to climb. Stefan, tell us about Brands Hatch.
Well, Bill, Brands Hatch is one of those old, narrow, fast, old-school British countryside tracks. Compatriot Gerhard Berger once famously called Brands Hatch the best circuit in the world. Opened on the 16th of April in 1950 with only the Indy circuit, a long layout was needed to attract faster cars. The layout we're racing here today opened in 1959, the so-called Brands Hatch Grand Prix. Standing at 3.7 kilometers or 2.3 miles for you imperials out there, this track is truly a legend. Comprising of only 9 turns in total, 3 left, 6 right. They mark out what an elevation change too. The Indy track being followed on its own Grand Prix layout that makes out of a great circuit. Fast and furious, just like a roller coaster, and that's exactly how it feels to drive on the circuit. So let's take you now on board with our brand new GSRC roller coaster.
Alright, we're in the GSRC MX-5, so let's do a lap around Brands Hatch. Paddock Hill Bend has one of the trickiest entries in all of racing with the curved braking and blind crest. It's incredibly hard to hit the apex, but after that, you can be really confident with the power because of the incredible compression at the bottom of the hill. Then you've got pretty much the only good place to pass on the track with Druids. This is your typical 180-degree hairpin, which means it's best to try to square off the exit. As you come back downhill, you've got to line up Graham Hill Bend. You'll notice you can use up all the AstroTurf on the exit, and that's really an important way to carry your momentum off of many of these corners. You'll get a short breather now that you're at the bottom of the amphitheater, but then comes another difficult braking zone with Surtees. Once again, the track curves while you're trying to slow up the car, making it tough to be accurate and stable. But the exit is extremely important because it's a steep climb uphill, and then the fastest straight on the track that you're thrown onto. Because of that, the draft might reel the car behind you in, but don't expect them to have an easy pass. Hawthorne is frighteningly fast, and there's almost no braking coming into this sweeper. Now we're into the back half of the course, which kicks off with Westfield. It's easy for the car to get loose through here, and you can expect to see a few drivers oversteer their way into the Armco when the slide passes the point of no return. We'll fly through Dingledale, and then you've got this scary trip through Sheen. The blind nature makes this all about muscle memory. Shortly after, you're braking for Sterling. Don't be afraid to get greedy on the inside curb and get hard on the gas well before the apex of this high cambered curve. You've now got one last break on the run up to clearways. And despite the decent straight, because there isn't much braking into this right-hander, it's very tough to pass. Watch out for the understeer after the crest because the car loves to slither off into the grass. As you power your way back up the curved climb of the Brabham Straight, you've now hopefully completed a lap around Brands Hatch.
Everyone is mine to torment. Such is the attitude of Brands Hatch. All right, when the GSRC Stat Science Poindexter got together, they put this stats for me here. We're going to go down and look at the driver standings. Now, any man who must say I am king is not true king, and the MWT Game of Thrones is decided by the points. Two drivers, Sonny Kanchan and Robert Hartley, are the top candidates for the crown, each with 3 wins this season. Marcello Fajan, the Italian driver, has won twice. It has been feast or famine for fittest. Gene has 2 runner-ups, but also plenty of poor performances as he sits in 4th. Then how about this guy? Selin Chepolevsky has proven that he can race with the top names, but has yet to show that he can actually beat the top names. Stellian, we don't think he's here today unless he makes a late appearance. All right, let's turn it over to Stefan. He's going to talk about the always competitive AM standings.
Well, Bill, as he already said, AM is very competitive. Not between first and second, where Kip Stevens leads with 51 points over Jordy Fike. Kip Stevens being 9th overall. Jordy Fike with his best finish, that was a 7th, and that twice he moved up 2 positions from last time around. Gaining a position over Stefan Weenhoff. He is in 3rd, 88 points behind your leader. Stefan Weenhoff was 4th in last race, so he is someone we can reckon with in this race too. Derek Holland, he is 3rd in the Ironman, standing 4th here, also losing 1 position out to Jordy Fike, 95 points behind. And then we have the ever so steady Eric Koeman. He is incredibly consistent in 5th right now, 109 points behind your AM leader, and we are kind of expecting Eric to go even more stellar and maybe go for 4th or 3rd here.
Always fun to watch that AM championship. Okay, last real piece of business to do before we can check in on qualifying, and that's have Stefan talk about the race details.
Well, race details, simple and fast. Season 16, this is our 9th round of 11 total no-show competitions here. So if you want a drop, you won't get one. Race distance today, 26 laps. Setups are completely open, so tinker away as much as you want, but you need to require to have 1 stop. Incident cap, we do not have one, and you also get an MPI points bonus, that is miles per incident. The better that one is, the more points you get.
Always important to keep it clean, and we should point out that Robert Hartley, who is our points leader, doing really well in that category. It's unusual for the fast drivers to also be clean, but Hartley proving that you can be both. All right, let's get to the qualifying right now. And the first thing I notice as we look on track is it does look like England here. Boy, it is overcast and gray. Maybe we can quickly put up the weather and see what these guys are dealing with. Looks like it's going to be a nice, cool day for racing. There you go. We have it in Fahrenheit. That's 75 degrees on the air temperature, and the track temperature is the same. That's because there is no sun out there. Stefan, are you able to do the conversion there and tell us? Most of our viewers are probably over there across the pond, and they like the Celsius. What does that mean in that kind of language?
Well, 75 Fahrenheit are 24 Celsius here. And also not to forget, the wind is at east with 15 kilometers an hour.
Celsius always seems so much colder to me than Fahrenheit. It's just the 75 and 24. I can't get my skin around that one. All right, let's see what's going on. Hey, there's Joe McDonald out here today. Good to see old Joe. There's Robert Hartley. We're going to look at Hartley, who's doing really well in the standings. A relatively small field again for MWT standards. 13 drivers put qualifying time so far. There's an extra 4 that have yet to put in time. 17 names on the starting list. There's Robert.
By the way, one thing I just realized, the ever so steady Eric Koeman, he is not here today, so this will hurt his AM championship very much here.
Looking at Enzo Canta right now. Enzo, the Italian driver, just joining the series. We've seen him race in several GSRC broadcasts in other series. Once again, it was Marcelo Pajan who's wanted to bring his countrymate over. Come on over and race. Marcelo is here today. Now we ride on board with Canta.
Brands Hatch, one of the more trickier tracks to drive, not only because it is narrow, but because also, as I said, the elevation change, it is everywhere. In cars like these, it's not that much of a problem, but even with these cars, you can run into some problems if you take the wrong line here at Brands Hatch.
And here's Joe McDonald coming across the line, trying to put in a time. Joe down into corner number 1. For guys who are talent challenged like myself, finding the turn-in point for that first corner, I'm still trying to figure out exactly when I'm supposed to turn in on Paddock Hill Bend. Robert Hartley sitting second in qualifying right now, coming across the line. He put in a 1:37.3. Is he going to be able to better that one?
I think he's already done with his qualifying because his last 2 laps were no-goes.
14 drivers have put in time. Still waiting for Trip Smith, Steph Wienhoff, and Jeroen Ursum to put in time. Can we look at Jeroen Ursum driving in the 51 machine? There he is. Special day for Jeroen. It's his birthday today. Happy birthday. And let's see if the racing gods will grant him a qualifying time. So far, the answer is no.
As Jeroen drives and continues to drive here through Droids, he spins out now.
Out there, wanted to spin that Heusinkveld car around, maybe get the sponsors a better camera view. He does a few donuts and gets the car going right now. Let's look at the New Zealand driver, Gene Fittis. Gene out there in the geodesic machine. And he's done. His was put in a 5th place qualifying, and I think that's where he's going to sit. Just about a minute
sure
left.
Everyone is done.
Yep. Give us a chance to look at some of the drivers we don't usually get to see. How about Stefan Overgaard? We were on him, and now we'll look at one more time for Robert Hartley as he continues to try to... Oh, we're back to Overgaard, and now we're back to Hartley. Hartley bringing it in the pits. And with that, everybody pretty much has brought their car into pit lane right now. I guess they're all there to celebrate Jeroen's birthday. Maybe they're going to cut a little cake, sing a song before we go racing. One driver still out there going around. Who could that be? It's Hartley. It's still Hartley out there going around. Couldn't figure out. I only get to see on my trap mech the first 3 letters was H-A-R. Couldn't figure out if it was Hartley or Holland or Hampson, but I figured it out now. And he's done. Okay, with that going on, let's go to our grid. We can take a little time going through it here. It's a standing start on the front row. My goodness, well, there they are. It's the guys who are leading the points. Sonny Kenchme, the 3-time champion, looking to become the first 4-time champion in series history. He's going to be inside of Robert Hartley. How about row 2, Stefan?
In row 2, we have Travis Schwenke and Marcelo Pagnan in 3rd and 4th. They're lining up for you.
Gene Fittis, he's in 5th. He's going to be flanked by our top amateur driver, Kip Stevens.
Stefan Overgaard in 7th, alongside him, Jean-Francois Penot in 8th.
Enzo Canta, we talked about the Italian driver joining his country mate, Marcelo Pajan, who sits in 4th. Canta's going to be in 9th. He's going to be inside of David Hampson.
Shorty Fike, your 2nd amateur racer here in 11th, alongside Mick Barry, the 3rd place amateur driver in 12th.
In the Baker's dozen spot, it's Derek Holland. Remember, he's really well in the Ironman Championship. Joe McDonald in 14th. Steph Dienhoff, Jeroen Ursum, and Tripp Smith did not put in qualifying times. All right, it is time to gather up the chicken steaks, covering on the cows. The horses are out of the barn for round number 9 of the MX-5 World Tour, brought to you by Heusinkveld. Sonny Kenshin on the inside, being challenged on the outside right now by Robert Hartley. Hartley is going to take over the lead as they head down into Druids. Kenshin not giving it up, and Kenshin is going to take it back as they go through the hairpin.
Yes, already quite some fighting here for P1 as Hartley goes a bit off track and is able to gather up his car, staying in second place, but already under pressure here from Terry Schwenke.
Schwenke making a move. Looking in there, peeking on Hartley, cannot get it done. They work through Surtees, and they're going to go now to the back straight. Marcelo Pajan
we have a spinner. We have a spinner in Surtees, that's Stefan Overgaard. He catching out the inside curb there and spinning his car around.
Overgaard was racing in 7th. He came around right in front of Jean-Franc. Keeps racing. Overgaard puts the nose into the wall. We have that one bookmarked. We'll come back and look at that one if the action allows. Kenshin out in front, Hartley chasing.
The real problem that this spin put up is that we now have a rupture between 6th and 7th. Kip Stevens is the last car on the lead group, and then we have Jean-Franc Pinot in 7th, leading the second pack for you. But all the action so far in this first pack.
Out of the final corner, we're going to give Sonny Kenshin credit with leading lap number 1. This track is technical enough that maybe some of these fast drivers might be able to break the draft and not make it a 15-car battle for the lead, but maybe just a 4 or 5-car battle. Right now, it looks like Kip Stevens in 6th, the last car hanging on to the lead train.
Kip Stevens, yes, he is also our leading amateur driver right now. And it will be interesting to see what he can do with all these pros around him.
Kip benefited by being ahead of Overgaard when Overgaard spun. That really put the gap down there. That's where the French driver Jean-Franc Pinot is going to have to really hustle, see if he can get up onto the back of Stevens. They race single file. Everybody's still out there racing, including Overgaard that had that early spin. Riding on board with our amateur driver, looking at the 5 cars in front of him. How about a nice battle, Stefan, for 9th position? This is heating up, and it involves Enzo Cantor.
It involves Enzo Cantor and Jordi Fike, your next amateur driver here in this race. They kind of try to bump draft each other through Pilgrim's Drop to get closer to David Hansen, who is fiercely trying to race after Jean-Franc Pinot.
If you've been watching this series all season long, you know that the action has been put on by the guys racing back here for the AM Championship. The leaders up there in the pros, they know the rules, the unwritten rules of let's not race each other too hard early on. These guys in the back, they don't care about that. They fight hard.
Speaking about fighting hard, Steph Weenhoff is right now side by side with Derek Holland, both amateur drivers. They're already side by side through the last turn, and they're still side by side going into turn 1. That's Paddock Hill bend for you. And Derek Holland has to concede the position to Steph Weenhoff.
Let's stay on this for a minute, because I think Holland might have visions of diving it into Druids. He does not. He's going to settle back in there in 12th position. Again, the action is back in the back. Let's drop back 2 spots back to Joe McDonald in 13th. These guys are always fun to watch. This is Joe McDonald and Jeroen Ursum. They're not the quickest drivers, but man, they usually put on a good show when they are next to each other and they battle for 13th. Look at Ursum peeking in there. And I think he's going to get that past Mazes. They're side by side now out of Surtees. He had a little bit of better run out of 4, and I think he's going to get it done. They head up to the Hawthorne bed, and sure enough, Jeroen Ursum up a spot.
Jeroen up a spot, and up ahead Holland kind of dropping a tiny little bit away from Steph Weenhoff as of right now. So all the action is between Joe McDonald and Jeroen Ursum as of right now.
Not missing a thing up front. Yes, they are close, but they're really not fighting. It's still Kenshin, Hartley, Schwenke, Pajan, Fittis, and Stevens. Kip starting to pull away. Remember that gap we talked about? Oh, what do you got?
Oh, Joe there very closely losing his car, able to save it. And Mick Barry is now right on his bumper. Let's see if he does something. No, he sticks behind Joe, thinking better of it.
They had Ursum out in front in 13th, McDonald and Mick Barry. These cars are the last ones actually out there racing. Steph Overgaard is still going, but he had that spin. Here comes the pass. Let's see if Barry's going to peek it in there. He does not. Sadly, Trip Smith did not enter the race today, so we only had 16 cars grid up. Riding on board with Mick Barry, a newcomer to the series. Good to see him out there in the work guard machine.
And he is really putting that car to work right now. Joe McDonald with a tiny bit, little bit of a slide through Graham Hill bend, and Mick Barry tries to make something happen here into 30s, and yes, he does. Move him up to 14th.
There you go. Again, these guys putting on the show back in the back. We're going to check back in on front because our contract requires us to put the camera on the leaders every once in a while. The driver I want to point out is back in 7th. Now, you're looking at the guys up front. It is Jean-Franc Pignon. He is trying as he can to get up there. 2.7 seconds back behind Stevens now. He is losing ground. I don't think he's going to get there. The front 6 continue to race together. Actually, Gene Fittis in jeopardy of losing the front 4.
These guys are putting up such a high pace that nobody but these 6 can hang on to each other as of right now. And yes, Gene is tiny little bit losing the cars in front, but I wouldn't say that he has lost them yet.
The front 6 race in the exact same order that they qualified. They are working lap number 5. They go down into Druids. And I think Stefan is absolutely correct. I think Fittis is comfortable back there, just hanging on.
Oh,
Ursum. Yep. And he was Eric Carmen. He was all by himself, and he spun the car. And this is, I'm telling you, this is corner number 1. It's a trickier corner than you think. All that runoff area and everything is the turn-in point and the coming over the hill.
Yeah, there you can see it. He runs onto that little bump that is there, losing traction on his right rear, and off he goes into the wall. He is still continuing his car, but very, very slowly and very, very hurt.
That's no way to celebrate your birthday. Well, in the Netherlands, his birthday's almost over, so hopefully the front part of his birthday was better than the closing part of the day. 6 cars up in front, still racing nose to tail. One thing that has been amazing this series is the cutoff line between the amateurs and the pro drivers. But Kip Stevens has managed to, when he can, race with the big boys. And that's what he's doing right now. He's left all the amateurs behind. Fike, Bienhoff, Holland, all back behind up there. He's racing in 6th.
Racing in 6th and racing quite well in 6th. Comfortably being behind Gene Fitz right now. Yeah, it remains to be seen what Kip can do coming out of these 30s. Graham Hill, sorry.
That beautiful Swift Cooper livery. My gosh, that is fluorescent, easy to see. You can see all the cars up ahead of him. That is Fittis right in front of him. Jean, Swenke, Hartley, and the guy leading the train, 3-time champion, Sonny Kanchen. Down into Druids for yet the 6th time. Oh, let me correct myself. That's Hawthorne Bend, sorry. Now over to Westfield. Let's go ahead and stay on this. We talked about corner number 1, Paddock Hill Bend, being tough for newcomers. I'll tell you another place. Going in Dingledale is just a nightmare for guys who are talent challenged. Oh man, through that right-hander. Not a problem for these veterans.
The right-hander on top of the hill is actually Sheens. Dingledale is the right-hander on the bottom of
on the bottom
right here. yeah, Sheens is always a very complicated turn because you can't see your turning point, and you don't know if you made it right until you're past that apex. So very tricky, no matter if you're talent challenged or a veteran to the car.
So Dingledale precedes, comes first, and then Sheen is that tricky one to go through there. Well, good to know. Let's look at Fittis. Yeah, you see those two guys. Now I am a little bit worried that the New Zealand driver beginning to lose touch. Fittis and Kip Stevens. Kip back there saying, "Let's go, Gene."
Yes, last lap about 4/10 slower than Marcelo Pagnan. So this is starting to really be now a gap, and Sheen is starting to drop off ever so slightly now of the front four.
Another battle we haven't talked much about. Let's go to 8th. This is David Hampson. He's out in front of Enzo Canna. They race about 2 car lengths apart. Hampson qualified 10th, is up 2 spots, and he got around Canta on the track. Canta would like to get that position back. Ride off the tail of Hampson, looking back at Enzo.
Well, the interesting thing here is Pinot ahead of them as he spins out here.
Oh, careful!
Oh!
And he gets Canta. Oh my goodness! Enzo had plenty of time to see it coming, and the French driver just came across the track and got into the Italian. Look how long it takes for this to develop.
Sheen takes out another driver, but also this is why we say stay on your brakes as he lifts off the brakes. He slides into the way of Canta, and Canta nowhere to go. Collects him, and both are done.
That is a tough thing to do because every fiber in your body says, I'm going to save this. But what happens is you don't save it, you come across and you take out an innocent bystander, and that was Enzo Canta. We come back live. Canta is in the pits. And we'll go back up front. Check in and how we doing. Hey, we still have Cantchen out in front. Look at this. Hartley looking, taking a peek. They begin to distance themselves. Hey, now we have a little bit of 2-car dance teams here. Cantchen and Hartley, are they pulling away from Swanky and Pajan? Maybe. Fittis and Stevens back in 5th and 6th.
Yeah, Schwenke, last lap around, they were about 3/10 faster than Schwenke. So we will be interesting to see what Schwenke can do. Can he answer the pace of Hartley and Cantchen, or is he not able to get with them?
Check in on the Sheriff, Jody Fike, racing the 09 car in 8th position. He's got Steph Wienhoff behind him. A couple drivers doing really well in that AM Championship. They're going to be heading to the final corner now, Clark Curve. Jody Fike, a veteran. And let's see, this is a good passing zone if Wienhoff can be close enough. And, oh, look what's going on. Is it, boy, Fike just kind of surrenders the spot.
Yes, very interesting there from Fike. Maybe he had a slowdown because that kind of looked like one.
Boy. Or maybe he's saying, look, I'll sit back here. Maybe I'll save some fuel now. You do all the work for a while. They race in 8th position. Derek Holland all by themselves. Hey, let's go back to 11th. Stefan Overgaard has been working hard. He's managed to get around Mick Berry and Joe McDonald. So Stefan now up to 11th after that early spin.
Yes, we sadly missed that one, the 2 overtakes on Joe and Mick. But yeah, Stefan Overgaard is really trying to charge through the field. But we also have some development up in front now. Hartley and Cantchen, they're really checking out now. Have already put a bit of a gap there between them and Schwenke. That's about 1.5 seconds now between the 2 and Schwenke. And behind Pagnan, we also have Gene Fitz, so he's back with touch with 3rd place here. And sadly, Kip Stevens behind them in 6th. He has now really dropped off, his last lap being 2 seconds slower. then the guys ahead, so he must have had some problems there.
I have been watching these two race up front. If we can go to the leaders, Hartley has absolutely no desire to go around Kanchan. His job is to see how fast they can make those guys go. I'm not so sure Kanchan is all that happy about being in front right now. In fact, I think Kanchan is kind of asking Hartley to pass him, and all of that has allowed the rest of these guys, Schwenke and Pajan and Fitz, to get back in the mix.
Yeah, I think Kanchan tried to drive away from everyone, but Hartley was able to stay with him, and now, obviously, as you said, he tried to get Hartley around him, and this has enabled everyone else to catch back up with him.
Yeah, I think
there you can see, once again, he tries to let Hartley pass, but nope, I will not pass.
That is my take as well. And no matter how much fuel Kanchan saves, I mean, Hartley gets to save just as much and then some being in the track. So even if Kanchan slows down, Hartley slows down as well, but he still has the benefit of being in the track. But what that has done, it has brought everyone back into it. Well, with the exception of Kip Stevens, who finally looks like he's not going to be able to hang on back there in 6th, losing touch with Fittis.
I wouldn't count out Kip here. If they start to slow each other down more and more,
right.
If they want to proceed with these mind games, Kip will come back again into those top 5. So we shall see how this plays out.
We look there, and there is our top AM driver. Want to check in on the driver in 10th, car number 8. This is Derek Holland. Why we want to talk about him? Well, he's got 3.6 seconds back to Stefan Overgaard, but Stefan is coming in a hurry. When Overgaard went around Barry and McDonald, it was about 5 seconds, so he's knocked off about a second and a half. We'll keep a track on this one. And actually, he's going to be working around the injured car of Jean-Francois Pignot. Pignot just kind of parking and letting everybody go by. And actually, Pignot's going to call it a day as he pulls off and takes a tow.
Probably thought to himself, I'm too damaged to drive, so he takes the safe option and retires his car.
Well, as so often is the case, this could come down to pit stops and who can do the calculations, who's been saving fuel. And I'll tell you, when it comes to pit strategy, and knowing exactly how much fuel to take, there is nobody better than Travis Schwenke. He has spreadsheets, he has calculators, he's got abacuses, he's got some 6th graders that he brings in to do some geometry for him. I don't know why 6th graders would be good at that, but let's get some neighborhood kids to come in and help him. He knows exactly how much fuel to take.
And we are soon actually getting to halfway point of this race. We're right now in lap 12, just started that of 26, so just 2 more laps and we already are past halfway. So we probably can soon expect some pit stops to unfold.
There are no team championships per se in the MWT, but there are nevertheless drivers who are on teams. Asbury Motorsports probably the most prominent of them, and that Sonny Kanchan leading the way there. Robert Hartley not part of that. Travis Schwenke is part of that, so he has the AMS logo on his hood, as does Marcelo Pajan. Gene Fittis and Robert Hartley, kind of the Rudolph of the group, not allowed to play in the racing games of Asbury Motorsports. Kanchan, Hartley, Schwenke, Pajan, and Fittis. We talked about some of the drama in the forum between races. We're not going to bring it up here because if you really want to be entertained, go ahead and check it out in the iRacing forum. But Marcelo Pajan had a victory taken away briefly from him at Daytona when it was a photo finish and he went across the grass to get there, but the ruling gave it back to him. Sonny Kanchan not so lucky as he was penalized 5 seconds for breaking one of the track-specific rules. That cost him a position or two, and that could come back to haunt him with this race championship so very close between him and Hartley.
Well, I tell you something that is also close. Jordi Fike versus Stef Weenhoff right now as they are side by side on the main street, but Stef Weenhoff with his tires on the grass having to give way to Jordi Fike here. Move him up into 8th position.
Yeah. We'll go ahead and take a look at this one again. I'm not so much sure how much this is racing, how much this is dancing. Remember, we saw Fike give the position to Weenhoff a while ago, and there's another AMS machine there from Jordi Fike. And he gets the pass mate. Of course, Fike with AMS on the hood, as well as GSRC, which of course stands for the Grand Sierra Resort and Casino. Good to see him supporting that vacation location. Up front, it's still those 5. There they are, and honestly, there has not been a pass for position from the green flag. They still race in the exact same order that they qualified, and that's how it's been every lap of these 13, now coming on to 14 laps so far this race. Somebody's going to have to pull in here and make a pit stop. And you know what happens, Stefan, when somebody does, let's say Marcelo Pajan comes in and comes in, then all of a sudden that changes it. Then Katchen and Hartley, they can't lollygag. They got to go out there and race because they got someone behind running a hot lap. Fact, is it Gene Fittis? Did Fittis make a stop? Yes, it is. There's the first one, the New Zealand driver. What he does so often, coming in.
Yes, and he's already off and going again out of the pit lane. Does he have anyone to worry about? No, he does not. Well, yes, actually Derek Holland, but he's not going to be there in time to have a scrap with Gene Fitz. So clean track ahead of him. Next car in line is Stef Weenhoff and Jordi Fike fighting it out for 7th position.
Yeah, this is big news. The fact that he got out with clear air in front of him. Fittis is fast. He qualified 5th. He put in a 1:37.8. Yeah, that's about 0.6 of a second slower than Katchen. But Katchen now cannot afford to save fuel because he's got a driver back there. The New Zealand driver racing in 9th position is hot lapping. So this means Katchen either has to come in or he's got to pick up the pace or he's going to get undercut.
Well, guess what? Sonny Katchen, he has put a little bit of a gap to Robert Hartley in this lap. About 2/10, I think that is. Yes, about 2/10. So, sorry, 7/10. So it will be interesting to see if Sonny can open this gap even more, or if Robert Hartley is able to counterattack his attack.
All 4 stay out there. What are the advantages to having a small grid size like we have here today? Just 16 drivers, only 13 still racing. Is Fittis is able to make that what my dad used to call the early peel, late reveal. Peel into pit lane, run some hot laps, people forget about you. What's revealed later? Ha-ha! He's out in front. These guys are too sharp for that one, though. They're watching Fittis, who's racing on the other side of the track right now.
Well, we have another taker. Stef Weenhoff is right now in the pits. He obviously came in from 8th, fighting there with Jordi Fike, and we also have Derek Holland, the 3rd pitter here of your field.
Now it starts to open up, and this is a course where you gotta hope the racing gods are kind, because there's a little bit of randomness to these MX-5, how quickly the fuel flows in. I really think it has something to do with the Coriolis effect, because it seems like the drivers south of the equator are always faster with pit stops. Fittis and Katchen for sure. I think it's just the way the monsoon spin compared to hurricanes. But nevertheless, in and out for these guys. Joe McDonald, one of those. Gene Fittis continues to be the leader of all the pitters. The bogey time to the Sonny Katchen, 30 seconds.
30 seconds at the line, and ooh, that was very close there for Robert Hartley as I was following them. Nobody did take the pit entry there, but Robert Hartley very, very close on losing his car as he touched the grass outside of Clark Curve.
More drivers up front. I will give you the exact time as it was at the line. 30.531. That was the interval between Kanchan and Fittis last time. We'll see if Fittis can gain anything on Kanchan. I would be surprised the way Kanchan is racing right now. Boy, you can see they are really using up all the track now. 30.8. So Fittis loses 0.3 of a second to the leaders.
Yes, and this might come back to haunt him as of right now. These guys, these top 5 as of right now, they are just, top 4, they are just going ham right now, putting up lap times that no one else can match as of right now. So coming in early did really hurt Gene's ambitions for a top spot in this race.
A few more takers in pit lane. They're in and out. Looks like Mick Berry was in for a little bit. Still waiting for our top 7 drivers to come in, the front 4, and then it also includes the top amateur, Kip Stevens, David Hampson, and Jordy Fike, yet to visit pit lane.
Speaking about Robert Hartley is the second taker of your top 5.
Hartley, the second fastest qualifier, so this is really going to put the pressure on Kanchan to have some fast laps. As he comes in, let's go ahead and pick up Gene Fittis right now, just coming out of Sterling Bend, heading toward Clark Curve. I really would be surprised if Fittis is able to jump Hartley here. I think David should be able to get in, Robert should be able to get in and out.
He is still standing.
Oh, he's still there.
He is still there.
Fittis is going by. Oh, Robert's in there for a long stop for Hartley. Did he get a speeding penalty? Perhaps.
Now he's off.
We look at the times that everyone else was doing, and you add about 15, and that gets you to 33. We think Hartley sped coming in. Sometimes when you race with the sword of Damocles over your head, the horsehair phrase, and you make a mistake.
Well, I can tell you, Robert Hartley did not speed on pit lane, so I'm not sure what happened there with him.
Maybe he just stopped for a sandwich. Well, he's in 8th position, about 14 seconds behind Gene Fittis.
We have another takeoff from your top positions. Travis Schwenke is now in pit lane, able to make the pit lane speed here of 45 miles per hour as he drives up to his pit lane. Let's see. Perfect stop on the dime there for his pit crew. Fuel goes in.
Now this one I don't think Fittis is going to be able to get to, because I talked about Schwenke and his multiple strategies for knowing exactly how much fuel to take. He's rolling. He had the 3rd stall to the end, so he's going to get to go up to speed pretty quick. He's out well in front of Fittis. Yeah, there's the gap right there. You can see, boy, 9.4. Woo! Fight coming in.
Fight. Now this is interesting with Steff Weenhoff,
right,
as they were fighting, and Weenhoff will easily get past Fike here.
A long stop for Fike.
He now has to defend here against Overgaard. Will he be able to get on in front? Yes, he will.
Fike stop about 23 seconds. That's like 8, 9, 10 seconds longer than everybody else. So there are 4 drivers still to come in. Kanchan, Jean,
Stefan Overgaard just overtook Jordy Fike with one heck of a late move there on the brakes into Pilgrim's Rise, through Pilgrim's Rise into Druids. Perfectly executed, move him into 9th.
Overgaard making up for all that early problems that he had. All right. Kanchan stays out. Pajan comes in. Schwenke was really, really fast on his pit stop. He's out of Clark now on the straight, Steph.
Yes, Schwenke is coming up now. Pagna now off the line here, and this will get very close. Actually, Schwenke gets him into Paddock Hill Bend.
There he goes, and he's going to be by far enough that there will not be able to stay in the tow. Almost a second. Pajan will really have to pick it up. It's got to be pit stop time for Sonny.
Well, we shall see. Either he is just somehow able to stretch his fuel tank that much longer, even though he was in the lead, or everyone else just, which is probably much more likely, that everyone else just tried to undercut him.
Well, the longer Sonny stays out, the lighter the car is. It has the least amount of fuel. He should be quick, in theory. He goes into 8. Now they'll be coming in this time. Cinderella has been at the ball long enough. Through Clark. With 8 laps to go. And here he comes.
Here he comes on the pit limiter. Perfect. A bit undersped there. 38 miles per hour on the line. So he's well clear of any pit infringements. As he pulls up to his spot. There he goes.
Pajan doing a good job of staying with Schwenke. Stevens comes in. Now let's pick up Schwenke. He is out of Clark.
And Kanchen is off as of right now. Out of the pit lane already. And he will get maybe challenged into Druids.
Yeah, how quickly can he get that little lawnmower engine revved up? Looks like he's going to be okay. It looks like Kanchen's going to lead him down into Druids. He's got it up to full revolutions now. Kanchen, Schwenke, and Pajan. 1, 2, 3, go ahead.
Yes, the interesting thing here right now is Schwenke able to drive up to Kanchen, or is Kanchen just able to drive away now and have this win in safe hands?
So the big losers in the pit stops were obviously Robert Hartley, who was racing up front. We don't know why Robert's stop was so long. He is back in 7th now. There is a chance that Hartley might be able to get up to Hampson, 4.2 seconds up on him, but David, while not the quickest of drivers, is I don't know if he's 4.2 seconds slower. 7 laps to go. Hartley's coming. With that said, it's time for one of our favorite parts here, and that is Tripp's back marker shoutout, where we run through the back half of the field for all those drivers that don't get a lot of airtime. Not going to be that far, as there's only 13 drivers out here right now. We're going to start with Mick Berry. He is in 13th position. Mick, the last car, I think, running right now.
He is indeed the last car running right now, but he is quickly catching up to Joe McDonald, who is your second last driver of the field right now.
We go up to Joe, look at him in 12th position. There's Joe. Nobody to race with. How about we go up to 11th position? This is Derek Holland again, racing all by himself. It's about 3.5 seconds to get to. Boy, he is closing in fast on Jordy Fike. Jordy Fike in 10th.
Jordy Fike in 10th indeed, and ahead of Jordy Fike we have probably the mover of the race, taking the first lap out of account. Stefan Overgaard, he is right now your 9th position driver, starting in 7th, dropping back all the way to the end of the field. I have to say, this is so far a very impressive drive from Overgaard.
We'll do one more because I don't want to insult Robert Hartley and include him in the back marker shoutout. So let's end it here with the driver currently at 8th. This is Stefan Veenhoff. Started in 15th, up 7 spots in the amateur standings for the championship, doing really well. And there's Tripp's back marker shoutout. Sponsored, of course, by Tripp Smith, longtime supporter of this series. Runs many practices for these guys. Tripp, we appreciate everything you do. Now with the back markers taken care of and only 6 laps to go, we can focus our attention up front. And right now, we'll look at Travis Schwenke.
If I'm honest with you right now, I think Schwenke is actually tiny little bit closing in this gap. Let's see what the times say when they go over the line here. Schwenke 37.5 compared to his Sonny with a 37.5, actually 5/100th of a second between them, and Schwenke is actually closing in.
You see the interval between Schwenke and Pajan, it's about, well, half a second. Right now, Kanchin is really pushing that interval 1.3 between our leader and Travis Schwenke. The teammates trying to close on each other. Kanchin wants none of it. Kanchin with 3 wins so far this season, looking to pick up his 4th. And we talk about 4th. 4th wins are nice. 4 championships would set him apart from anybody else in MWT history.
Kanchin is the man to beat, as he shows over and over and over again. But Schwenke, he is not giving up on this yet. He really tries to fight back. The gap right now pretty stable at around 1.3 seconds.
Great racing going on with 5 laps to go. And of course, this series is sponsored by Heusinkveld. They offer a broad array of products and services, including advanced vehicle simulation software and hardware, and sponsors on practically every major team in sim racing today. If you're looking for an edge in racing, get in touch today at Heusinkveld.com. Sponsors very important to making everything work here in the sim racing business. Kanchin out in front. Schwenke trying his best to run him down, but starting to lose ground a little bit. That interval now 1.4 seconds.
Yes, as of right now, it's a bit of a give and take between Schwenke and Kanchin. Travis not giving up, Kanchin not wanting to give anything up. So, yeah, it's right now a bit of a hot lap challenge with Pangdan are just trying to hang on onto Schwenke's back.
It's a small field today, and right now a bit of an antisocial field as well, as no drivers are really close to each other. Everyone all by themselves. Maybe one of the closest gaps right now is indeed the Kanchin-Schwenke interval. I'll be correct myself. I think our directors found the closest one, and this is Pajan who's trying to get up to Schwenke. Being on a race team important? I don't know. Let's see. Travis Schwenke. Yeah, he's AMS. Our leader, Sonny Kanchin, races for Asbury Motorsports. Oh, yeah. And Marcelo Pajan, also another AMS driver.
Well, as they say, teammates are important, but your own victory is more important. But
clearly that is my problem, why I am not more successful. I'd be more successful if I had a good team to race with. Come on, Asbury, let me in. I'm going to stay on this one here as Pajan starts to run down Schwenke. 3 laps to go.
That's the one really good thing about having a teammate. Not only will you get setups and help for setups, but you will also have someone who you always know that is your rival, because the first guy you want to beat is your teammate.
You talk about setups on these MX-5s. They're open setups, but every time we talk about it, they say, you know, there's really not much you can do with the MX-5 as far as setups goes. But as soon as series officials start thinking about maybe taking away from it, oh no, you don't want to do that. Even though there's not a lot that can be done, boy, the drivers sure do like to have that opportunity.
There is not a whole lot that you can do, but what you can do can affect the speed of this car quite greatly. It is one of those cars where not a lot of things have a huge impact on the car, and that is exactly what this MX-5 stands. Not a lot of to do, but a lot you can change on it.
That actually makes sense, even though it's a little bit seems A lot you can do, but not a lot you can do. Travis Schwenke in second, Bijan in third. How about we go ahead and find our hard charger, maybe? That might be something to look at. How about let's go ahead and go to 8th position, put the camera on Stef Wienhoff. Started 15th. This is against my religion to give him a hard charger award, though he didn't put in a qualifying time, so...
Well, if you don't want to give it to him, then we can give it to David Hampson. He went from 10th to 6th, gaining 4 positions right here.
Yeah, but here's the battle, though, because here comes Hartley.
Yeah, and Hartley, as of right now, he's the anti-charger of this race, starting 2nd. Right now in 7th, losing 5 positions. He really wants to get past David Hampson and make quick notice of that pass.
I love that term, the anti-charger. Boy. even though that's a bit of a it's kind of an insult. Boy, it still sounds scary. I'm the anti-charger. Right now, Hartley coming, and this is really important. Remember how close this championship race is. This pass here between Hartley and Hampson could determine your champion. Every point matters.
Every point matters, but also every position matters, and that is also the case between Eugene Fitz and Kip Stevens. They are fighting for 4th right now. Kip Stevens, last lap, about a second faster than Gene Fitz, so he is really dropping off his own pace as of right now.
Gotta wonder if maybe that early stop, they're able to change probably left side tires without having to pay a price. You wonder maybe the tires are going to. I think Fittis is going to lose the spot. It's going to be a great run for Stevens. White flag.
White flag is indeed in the air. Kip Stevens trying to line up here. Battle kill bent for Druids. Let's see if he can do something. And no, he cannot, but he can get quite close here. Once again, trying to line up Druids. This time for Graham Hill bent, but once again, too far back.
Schwenke had a spin from 2nd position. He's going to surrender that spot to Bijan on the last lap. And it was more than a spin. He actually banged it in there. I think he's going to have a hard time salvaging the podium.
Yes, as they come roaring past him right now, Kip Stevens and Fitz. This battle for 4th is suddenly 4th, 3rd. So Kip Stevens here with a chance as an amateur to go up onto the podium.
So things heated up a bit. Meanwhile, our leader has worked his way through Sheen down into Sterling. We don't need to go there yet. We can stay on this a little bit. I'll keep an eye on him. He's heading towards Clark Curve. We're looking at Stevens right there. Well, better go to our leader now, as I'll call this round number 9. Here, the MX-5 World Tour, brought to you by Heusinkveld. Well, it's going to go to Sonny Cantion, as he has nothing but clear track ahead of him. Give him the checker flag. Marcelo Bijan is going to get 2nd, with Schwenke having trouble. Now we can go back and look at this battle. Let's go back to Fittis. Fittis and Stevens. Oh, I think Stevens is going to get him, Stefan.
Here he comes. He has the run on Gene Fitz, but not the line. Will he be able to snitch 3rd place? We will find out now. That was very close. No.
Fittis gets it by just a tick.
And right behind him, Robert Hartley is able to snitch the position away from David Hampson. So move him up into 5th place. Travis Schwenke getting 7th position.
Schwenke limps it across in 7th. Don't think there are any other battles out there. Wienhoff, Overgaard going to come across in what will be 9th position. Let's go ahead and stay here. We'll let these guys finish out their laps. The Sheriff, Jordy Fike, in 10th. Derek Holland out of Clark now. He'll get 11th. And Joe McDonald's got a ways to go. I think he's going to get 12th spot. May not see him cross the line. And I believe he is the last car racing, as Mick Berry was a lap down, so his race is over. So Joe McDonald comes around to finish out his race. The racing is over here at Brands Hatch, but our broadcast is far from done. We'll take a short break. We'll be back to run down the entire finishing order, talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. Welcome back to the Global Sim Racing channel and the Sim Sports News Wrap-Up Show. Sim Sports News is one of the first dedicated sim racing news websites that covers all broadcast series on iRacing, ran by Jacob Tufts and Gianni Quintelier. The Sim Sports News race team competes on many official iRacing series, as well as the one you've just been watching. For more information, go to simsportsnews.com, and let's go ahead. And there's the beautiful logo you see there, that yellow and black, the wrap-up show. All right, let's go ahead and give you the finishing order here for round number 9 in the MX-5 World Tour, brought to you by Heusinkveld. Sonny Kanchan picks up his 4th win of the season. Marcelo Pajan, his teammate, follows right behind in 2nd. Gene Fittis took that early stop. We worried about him as he was losing pace. He was able to hold up Kip Stevens, and then some mistakes from the guys in front like Travis Swenke and Robert Hartley. Gene Fittis finds himself on the podium. Kip Stevens will have to settle for 4th, but he's the top amateur by a long way, as there's lots of drivers between him and Steph Wienhoff. Those drivers are Robert Hartley, David Hampson, Travis Schwenke. Then you get down to Wienhoff in 8th, Stefan Overgaard. After that early spin, qualified 7th, went all the way back to the back, worked his way back up into 9th spot. Rounding out your top 10, it's the Sheriff, Jordy Fike. Stefan?
Derek Holland, your 4th place finisher in the amateur class in 11th. Joe McDonald, 12th. Mick Berry, 13th. That's already 2 laps down, and your last car running. Jeroen Ursem in 14th. Jean-Franck Pinot in 15th. Enzo Cantor, 16th. And Trip Smith, not even starting, 17th.
And Stefan, we got some news about Robert Hartley. We were thinking that it was a speeding penalty, and then you said no, it's not. So what'd you find out?
Well, he did run over the green painted tarmac on pit entry, and if you run over that too much, you will get a 15 seconds stop and go penalty, and that's exactly what it did. It was a pit entrance violation.
All right. Well, with that done, we're going to be able to talk to the driver who is on the smallest of the podiums, and that's going to be the New Zealand driver, Gene Fittis. Gene made his traditional early peel, late reveal strategy. I liked the idea, but then I was afraid it wasn't going to work for you, Gene, but it ended up okay. Podium?
Yeah, the plan was, how you going, Zeke? First of all, see you guys again. Talk to you guys again, I should say. Yeah, the plan with pitting early was basically I was doing everything I possibly could just to hang on to those front 4 guys before the stops. And I had the idea that maybe a fresh set of tyres on the left side might give me maybe a couple of laps where I could catch up a few tenths and actually get in the mix with them. But unfortunately, I just had a shocking outlap and then a really bad lap the lap after as well. And by the time some of the rest of those guys started to come out from the pits, I think Travis was the first one to come out, and I was like 5-6 seconds behind him, and I thought that 5th was going to be my lot. But then, obviously, something happened to Rob, probably a pit penalty from the sound of it, because I saw him pop out behind me, and then something happened to Travis towards the end. I'm not exactly sure what, but basically gifted 3rd. Probably should have realistically only been a 5th.
I don't know if it was the 3rd place was gifted to you, but at least you had to earn it because that darn amateur driver, Kip Stevens, boy, he was making you work for it at the end. Yeah,
man, I wanted to just take a moment to acknowledge Kip's drive today. That was unbelievable. He's like, I was a few tenths off those front guys, like I say, and pushing as hard as I could to just to hang with them. And Kip was right there the whole time, man. And man, he closed me down in those last handful of laps, and I think it was 5 1,000ths across the line. I just squeaked in.
Well, Gene, it's always fun to watch your race. I'm so happy that you're having a good season. It's been a long time coming. Congratulations. Couple more to go. Let's close it out on a high note.
Yeah, cheers. Looking forward to it. Thanks a lot.
Gene Fittis. Honestly, when he first started, he picked up the name Gene Must Finish Fittis because the guy just could not get the car to the end. That nickname is long since been retired, as he is a contender. He's going to get a win here pretty soon. All right, Stefan, who you got? Oh, with that, you know what? When Johan comes in, he's so personable. Everybody comes and wants to talk to him. They know that we have Stefan Slocker with us here. I think you scared him away. No one's going to come to talk to us, Stefan, so I guess we're going to wrap it up. Hey, thanks for subbing today.
Yeah, hey, it was a pleasure. Awesome racing throughout the field there. Luckily, we had 2 fights there at the end that kept us on our toes. Sadly, obviously, for Robert Hartley there at the end. But yeah, awesome racing, and can't wait to see more of these MX-5s.
All right, with that said, let's go ahead and wrap it up here. We'd like to thank everybody at the Quality Racing Sim-dicate for organizing this series and contracting with GSRC to broadcast it. One of the guys that helps organize this series, Jeroen Ursum. Happy birthday, Jeroen. Don't know what number it is, but hope the rest of your night goes well. Let's go ahead and thank the sponsor, that is Heusinkveld. It was thought that affordable simulation software and hardware was of limited value for race teams and drivers, but Heusinkveld Solutions brings professional simulation within budgetary reach of anyone without having to compromise on realism or engineering value. Heusinkveld offers a broad array of products and services such as advanced vehicle simulation, software and hardware. They're able to simulate any combination of race car and track, including a full-fledged cockpit environment with realism that is unparalleled. Heusinkveld Solutions are currently being used by professional race teams and drivers in Formula 4, GP3, GP2, and Formula 1. Now these products are available for any team or driver looking for an edge in racing. Be a better race car driver. Get in touch today at Heusinkveld.com. We would also like to thank Sim Sports News for their help in sponsoring the wrap-up show. Thanks to the company's equipment and software you see on the screen right now. We use on the broadcast the original music that lets your ears alert your eyes. You're watching a GSRC broadcast. Comes courtesy of Eric Eckel and June Lalonde. See the screen and contact each of them. The Heusinkveld MX-5 World Tour returns for round 10 in just 1 week. That is December 8th on your calendar from Donington. GSRC will be there to bring you all the action. You hope you join us. Sliding across your screen now are just some of the upcoming broadcasts, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. If you'd like more information about GSRC, including a complete list of future broadcasts, you can find it all at globalsimracingchannel.com. Check us out also on our social media at Twitter, GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Also, if you haven't done so yet, become a YouTube subscriber by hitting the big red button on our YouTube page. Finally, on behalf of the entire crew, Stefan, Sean, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.